Tom Dutra is the best goalkeeper coach in the league.
Tom's ability to strike such a great ball, challenge every goalkeeper every time in the training session.
The work he has done with Stefan Pride for me is amazing.
We come to work and we try to get better every day. It starts with our keeper coach trying to push us.
I think the Sounders have had such consistent goalkeeping since they've joined MLS. Tommy's a huge reason for that.
Welcome to this week's edition of My Journey presented by Lexus. And we're going to bring in one of the most valuable members of the Seattle Sounders coaching staff, Tommy Dutra. Tommy, thank you for first of all taking the time to chat with us today. And I'm going to dive straight into it. As a young kid growing up, you have a choice: play on the field or become a goalkeeper. I always thought the goalkeepers were the craziest ones on the field. What made you want to become a goalkeeper at a young age?
I think it was just having the ability to be able to save shots. I was playing other sports at the time, and which is another opportunity for me to use my hands, to be honest with you, in the sport that, I just didn't really want to play on the field. I did play on the field, but I just wanted to be a goalkeeper.
What was there? I mean, you look back throughout history, and the level of U.S. goalkeepers that we continue to produce is right up there. Is there a link to the other sports? Why do you think it is that the U.S. continues to produce so many top-level goalkeepers?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the fact that most of them have played other sports growing up and been able to either take, they're playing basketball or American football or baseball and applying that to the position.
Now, at what point, during your childhood into, getting older, did you look at the sport and say, this is something I could make a career out of? Was there any one specific coach or moment that kind of shaped you in that regard?
I think growing up, football in this country wasn't the biggest, but I loved it. I knew I was getting better at the position, started to make like the youth national teams and those things, and thought, heck, this would be, I always wanted to play probably something professionally, but definitely football. I mean, I wanted to be a professional goalkeeper, and I love the position so much. I tell the guys this all the time. I mean, I get so excited every day I'm with the guys in the field. I love the position. Love it.
Now, you came through youth national team at a time where, we're so used to MLS now, so many different homes for goalkeepers. Do you look back and go, man, I wish the league was as grown then as it is now? Is there any regrets in that regard for you in terms of the playing side?
Yeah, I mean, for sure the league is so much better now, and my pathway would have been probably through the Sounders Academy into the Sounders or whatnot, but it also made me hungrier for the opportunities I did get. And I mean, what it was like, and it made me so hungry, so thankful for the opportunities I did get along the way, especially in my situation with, two pretty bad injuries, to be able to continue to play. I remember I had a choice, Keith, in '96 to sign with MLS or sign with Seattle Sounders. I signed for the Seattle Sounders for $750 every 2 weeks.
You were getting paid a lot more than I was.
Because I wanted to be a Sounder so bad that there's no chances MLS would make it, I mean, the Sounders were the best, and at the time, and I said, that's where I'm going to sign at, and who knew that MLS was going to be what it is now.
Going back to, Washington, and it just, what you've said just exemplifies what the Sounders means to you. Growing up at that time in Washington, you weren't the only top young goalkeeper. What was it about Washington that was developing these greats like Casey, like, Marcus Hanneman and others?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many good ones. I mean, even, there's been so many good. I think a lot of credit needs to go to Rob Walker early on. I think he was the one that took on the position along with Tony Waiters, who worked in this area a lot, but Rob worked hand in hand with Tony and kind of developed a curriculum for goalkeepers to follow and goalkeeper coaches to follow. And he should, he's not given enough credit in those early days of developing a lot of good goalkeepers. And, I think when you see one doing well, the next guy wants to do well, the next guy. And if you see and it's like, maybe the soft green grass helped as well up here.
Now, every young player you talk to, they want to play. At what point did coaching enter your head in terms of, I enjoy that side of it too? Was that later on down the road, or was that something early on you kind of knew as well?
Definitely later, Keith. When I got done playing, I was like, I told my wife there's no chance I was going to get involved in the game. And I said, I didn't really want to coach. But then I had a couple different opportunities that popped up along the way. And I'm like, God, am I stupid not taking these on? and one was at a very small university. And honest to God, it was the best experience because now I'm coaching guys. All I know is pros. Now I'm coaching guys who have no aspirations of being pro. They have no chance at it, and they're giving me everything. In 2 weeks, I came home, told my wife, I said, listen, I really want to give this a go. And so I started to get involved a little bit more, and then started running. I was coaching teams, but then I was running goalkeeping training seminars, and then I was head of the Washington State Olympic Development Program in goalkeeping. Started working with the youth national team, and then a couple other opportunities that popped up to interview for MLS jobs, but I wasn't ready at the time. But that's kind of how the path started for me, is going down this road. But I always circle back to, coaching at a small little university. And most people have aspirations of coaching Division I, and I had that opportunity. I just didn't want to do it. But thank God I spent time at this, Pacific Lutheran University, because it just opened my eyes to what coaching was all about, to be honest with you.
Now you can jump at me if I get anything wrong in terms of being a goalkeeper coach. Don't be afraid to attack me on it. But is it an easier transition because that relationship is 1v1? You're almost part of the coaching setup of yourself as a player. You're dealing with that coach. Was it an easier transition than, perhaps becoming a head coach of a full team?
I'm not sure. I know at the time, Keith, I wasn't ready to be a goalkeeper coach at a professional level when those opportunities came. I think you have to manage so much of the psyche of the goalkeeper, the goalkeeper's ego, and you have to manage not just the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. And that's something that takes a lot of time to be able to develop that over time. So I don't know if it was easier, but I definitely knew I had a belief in what I was doing, and I wanted to pass it on to my guys that I work with, but also listen to them. So maybe the trust, I was able to develop trust at an early time when I was coaching the guys.
Well, I guess probably a better way of putting it for me would be, we talk about the elements of a coach, what makes a great coach.
Sure.
Is there more emphasis on the mental side for a goalkeeper coach, given you're specialized, you're dealing with that player on a 1v1 situation so often?
The big difference would be, Keith, we spend more time on the psychological part and the technical part than we do the tactical part of what the team is all about, but definitely the technical and the psychological part of it during the week, that's where we spend most of our time at. Now we have to work on the tactical part of it towards the end of the week to make sure we match what the head coach wants for on Saturday or Sunday, but that's where it is definitely different. It is a specialized position.
What's more difficult for you, working with a top-level goalkeeper who doesn't want to work, or a low-level goalkeeper who'll give it his all but simply doesn't have that ability?
Wow, Keith, that's a good one. That's a good. Luckily, and I'm not saying this, all my top guys, all of them have worked. They've all wanted to set the standard. The starters have always set the standard. Whether it was Casey Keller, it was so important that he had set the standard. And he did it every day. He missed 3 sessions in 3 years. Geschwerning, same thing. I would have conversations about him. Now, Stefan Fry coming in as the starters. But just as important, the number 2 has to make sure that he's pushing the 1, and the 3 and the 4 have got to bring it as well. But it breaks my heart when a goalkeeper doesn't find success. That's all I'm here for. So I want them to have the most success possible.
How long of a memory do you have to have with a goalkeeper? You're saying we make decisions on players all the time, right? We say guy doesn't. You have to completely wipe the slate every day and come back and say, today I'm treating you the same. You're going to work hard. I mean, how long do you give a goalkeeper before you decide this guy is not going to give us what we want, and we kind of have to move on?
Well, for some of the young ones I watch at a young age, and I want to see them give up a goal, right? I want to see how they react giving up a bad goal, maybe a couple goals, and see how they react. Do they react by making the next 6 or 7 saves in the next 2 or 3 games, or do they just fold and they can't get out of their own way? I look at them at a young age. Also the pros too. I mean, I've had guys, you watch them in small sided and they're unbelievable. You put them in when it's 11v11 in front of fans, they get in their own head and they can't get out of their own way. And that's something that's so hard to break. But mostly I start looking to see, what do they look like after they give up a goal? What do they look like after they give up a bad goal?
Now, you mentioned someone a couple of moments ago who I work closely with now, and I know you're good friends with, Casey Keller. For me, the work ethic, everything, I still see the same look in his eye in terms of how to conquer something. What was it like working with him on a 1v1 basis? What were some of the attributes you saw in him that went, this guy is just completely top level?
Not just like you, Keith. I've known him. I've known him for a long time. Unbelievable shot stopper. Unbelievable. But psychologically, we were talking about the mental side of things. I've never seen a goalkeeper ever come back after giving up a goal and just make some of the saves for the next 4 to 5 to 6 games and just get on with the next save. I mean, he was phenomenal at that, and he was phenomenal shot stopper. But his attention to detail when he came into training to his own technique was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
He's told me about going to clubs, and I'd see a goalkeeper like, he's good, it's going to take me a week longer, but I'll beat him. He never had a bone in his body that thought I was not good enough. But I want to read you a quote that he sent me today about you as a goalkeeper, and kind of get your reaction to it. He said, besides being one of my best friends, I argue he's one, if not the best goalkeeper coach in MLS, and that's just not limited to MLS either. This is a goalkeeper that's worked in Bundesliga, the Premier League, La Liga, and every time anybody who knows Casey doesn't give compliments, right? So good job from Casey is world class from anybody else. What does it mean for you to hear something like that from Casey Keller?
He's phenomenal. I mean, it's I was so lucky to work with him. So I think the world of him, but I was fortunate. Let's just put it that way. I've been fortunate to work with the guys I've worked with, and starting with him. So,
I have another quote. I'm going to let you guess who this one is. This is more of a lighthearted, funny one. This person says, I've known Tommy since we were kids on the state team together, but didn't get a chance to work with him until I was pretty much retiring. But I was pretty stubborn and set in my ways by then, and I knew what I liked and didn't like. I knew what worked for me and didn't work, but I loved coming to work. Trainings were realistic, hard, but fun. But the main thing is he cared about his goalkeepers. He is still one of my best friends, even though he played Steph in front of me. Haha. My ski buddy, my fishing buddy, and my drinking buddy. I think you pretty much know who that is, right?
Marcus is fantastic. He doesn't get enough credit. Marcus is fantastic. I wish he would have came back to us earlier on. I mean, it's an unbelievable shot stopper. I mean, my God, the things that he could do in that body of his was unreal. Unreal. I mean, he's another one, I mean, we were teammates at the old Sounders, and then to be able to coach him at the end of it, it was just, but all those guys I get to learn from, and that's the thing too, I think with coaching is just listen, just listen and just let them have input. And it's not about me, it's about them. So let them be part of it. But I was lucky to have him, lucky to have both those guys as friends and bounce things off of. And that's what I would do a lot, is bounce things off of them. Hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think? And they're like, no. Or yes.
Yeah. The best coach is always evolving, right? Yeah. But you mentioned Steph, and Steph came to the Sounders after a spell at Toronto where he was first choice, and then he wasn't first choice.
Yeah.
What did you know about Steph? What did you see from Steph before he arrived at the Sounders, and what made you look at him and say, this is a goalkeeper we can build around moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kept lists of guys in the league who might come available, might be a good fit for us. When Michael moved on, I had already had a list of guys, between 5 or 6 guys. I knew him back in college. I knew he was going through some hard times at Toronto, felt that maybe his confidence was down. And so Ziggy and I had a long conversation and said, let's go trade for him. Let's trade and see what we got. And we traded for him, and he was promised nothing. Just came in and worked as hard as he could, and slowly but surely he was improving. His willingness to come in, Keith, and just grind away, no matter what, just grind away and get better is what he did from day one, and he still does it.
Yeah, I mean, I always, when I watch games or watch players, I always judge coaches based on, are they getting the best out of their player? And, watching Steph, I thought Steph was a very good goalkeeper then, but every year he does something else that I go, he's added that to his game. Yeah. What do you have a game plan, a set plan for how the season progresses? Is it active? Is it reactive to games? What way does that work in terms of the involvement of Steph under your tutelage?
Yeah, I mean, we have a periodization of what we work on as far as from a technique. I'm always changing. Like it might be a focus on cutbacks for the first couple of days, but then again, we're finishing the week off on crosses and angles and then we might, as the periodization goes, we might evolve into working on some of his distribution. But again, it always comes back to angles and shot stopping and being in good position. And so that's kind of how the plan goes throughout the year. Now, back when we were playing the Galaxy, we probably worked on cutbacks 3 or 4 times that week because of Robbie Keane's movement or whatnot. But that's kind of how we put things together, and as far as having a periodization of how we work.
Now, the one save that is obviously going to spring to mind, I think, for everybody, is that save in the final. Hairs on the back of my neck stand up right now. When I think about it, what went through your head? What were your emotions at that moment? And looking back on that save, what do you see when you see that moment?
Well, I mean, throughout the game, he was having a good game. As you remember, that game was icy, and he had a horrible warm-up, but he made one save early on in the first half, and he started to get himself in rhythm. He started coming for some crosses. So I had a good feeling, and he started making more and more saves. When he made that save, I looked over at our administrator. I said, "That's the best save I've ever seen in a final." And I just looked over calmly. Our whole bench is going crazy, but that's how you could ask our admin. That's how calm I was. I just looked at him. It's the best save I've ever seen in the final. And then I looked back at the game, and I'm going, and I looked up at on the big screen. I'm like going, "Holy smokes." And I was calm. And everybody's going crazy. I'm like, "Look, we got to go get this thing." And so after that, he came in. I looked at him. I said, "Listen, after that save, we are now going to win a shootout. You're going to win it now. We're going to win it in PKs." And so, but fantastic. But, you've seen those in training. You work on that stuff in training, and you see it, and you hope it comes out at the right time. And it came out at the right time. And I was so happy for him.
No, well, I tell you what, I was not calm when that moment happened. I was going nuts as well as everybody else. But what an incredible moment that will live in Sounders history. But you mentioned back in '96, you as a Sounders player, and that lofty contract that you signed. Fast forward 23 years to last year and hosting MLS Cup. You see the stadium full. I mean, it was just a spectacle for the ages in terms of where MLS has come. What did that moment mean for you, having come that far? And did you ever envision that when you first pulled on that Sounders jersey for the very first time?
I had hoped for it, to be honest with you. I mean, we saw, just like you calling the games, we've seen some big moments in that stadium. I'd hoped for it because as a kid, I remember going to the Kingdom and watching the Sounders and just thinking the world of the Sounders. And when that happened last year, we won the final. I thought about all the fans, but I thought about all the kids that are like my age. Oh my God, look what's going on in this city. And I was kind of just numb, to be honest with you. I was just so numb. That week was so tiring. But that was kind of things when I started to think about the moments like, man, this is cool. And just what it would be feeling like for a little kid to be in that stadium to see that. And now, as you said, now all the years later, and what's going to be like from years from now. And unbelievable moment.
With that being said, you've been with the Sounders so long. Is this your club? Is there ever a vision for you to be anywhere else, or is it simply you're a Sounders man for life?
Yeah, I mean, I get asked that a lot, and I've been lucky enough to be here this long. My first year of the MLS, Ziggy said to me, he goes, "I'm going to hire you. You're not my guy. I'm going to give you an opportunity, but I don't plan on to be past here one more year." I said, "Fair enough." I said, "I'm going to give you everything I've got." I said, "But thank you for the opportunity." 4 months later, he goes, "Don't worry, you're going to be here longer." And I said, okay. And each year I would have a 1-year contract and go on and on. I tell my wife, we love the club and would love to be here for as long as we can. And I truly love the club. It is my club. I was a ball boy, played through the teams, coached in USL and all the way through. But, I definitely love coaching and I'm not opposed to ever going somewhere else, but this is my team.
You are Mr. Sounder along the way for me. You've done everything with the club, but hand in hand with that, the man in charge right now is very similar to you in terms of storyline, Brian Schmetzer. What has it meant for you to see him come along, you to be a part of that journey with Brian as well? And what does he mean to you to work with him on a daily basis as well?
I mean, to see him grow as a coach, honestly, see him grow as a coach. I mean, I've seen what it was like for him when he was a coach in the USL in the moves that he'd make tactically. And, obviously I knew he was a good coach. We won a championship in the USL days and just his man management, but also see him grow in all aspects of the game and willing to keep growing and willing to keep challenging his staff and us as a group. And him and I are the only ones left over. So the always evolving, and he has to evolve with the group as well and try to manage us as well. And seeing him do that is been fun to see, and he deserves all the credit. I mean, he's the guys love playing for him, and we love working for him.
Yeah,
Sometimes I look over at him and I go, oh my God. I remember when we were coaching at Starfire, and now look at this. And but it's been great to see, and he deserves it.
Now, I watch other coaches. I coach a little bit myself, so you can stand on the line. A goalkeeper coach is different. You are hands-on. You are involved in everything. I mean, how do you do it? How do you continue to do that? All the volleys, everything. I mean, you're basically playing a game every time you're out there. How does the body feel after some of those sessions?
I mean, honestly, I have every day I have a same routine, Keith. I've got to get up, do the same stretches I do every day. It's basically yoga, but it's the same work I have to do because I've had back surgery. I've got a rod in my leg. I've had a lot of things that have happened over the years, but I continuously have to keep going, working out, and I'm very active anyhow, but I just have to do it. And there is times where I'm coming at home and my wife's like, oh my God, look at you. So.
Now, obviously, you mentioned the success with Steph over the last few years, culminating in hosting and lifting MLS Cup last year. What is the future for Steph Fry, and what do you want to see for him to continue to evolve? Because as goalkeepers go, age-wise, you're still right in there in your prime, in your mid-30s. What do you want to see from him to evolve further?
Just consistency. Becoming, a little bit more, keep improving on his consistency with age, making sure that I have him training smart as he gets older, making sure his attention to detail on and off the field is there. He's not getting pulled in too many different directions, making sure he's recovering properly, and making sure he just gets the work that he needs to keep going. He does a great job off the field to make sure he's right and ready every morning. He's going to have to continue that. And I think, he's got a lot of good years ahead of him, as you've mentioned. And there's goalkeepers that played, Casey played until his 41, Marcus played until his 40s. You can do it, but you got to make sure you take care of your body.
Take care down in Orlando. Whatever happens down there, I'll leave those questions for another time, but enjoy it.
Just go win those games. And then when we come back, let's see what happens.
Exactly.
I hope it's something that looks like something like the Bundesliga. I mean, those games have gotten better too. I mean, you remember the first 2 weeks till now, and it just gives us something to do and watch. I mean, I can't wait for us to start playing.
Do you feel that though? Do you feel like it's like to be at home, to spend quality time with loved ones is great, but also a release to be able to do what you love, to be out there, with Steph again and working with him. Is that a nice release for you mentally as well as everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I get away from the game completely a lot. I mean, I think Marcus and those guys tell you. I mean, when I get away, I'm out. I mean, I'm either climbing and skiing, because I can just think and do those things. And so when I do walk through those gates, I'm ready with the guys. And honest to God, that first time I could actually train with the guys, it was like Disneyland.
Yeah.
It was just like, let's go, man. I can't wait. So, I mean, I love it, so let's, but it was definitely, I mean, going to Orlando for 5-6 weeks is not going to be easy. But at the same time, we got to give people something to be happy about and think about and watch, and including ourselves. So
yeah, you're doing a service to us too. So we appreciate that. And Tommy, again, good luck out there, and thank you.